Ad hoc at home really came about because of the restaurant, ad hoc, and our love for this type of food that is very emotional. And what I mean by that, it's something that we recognize, something we have reference points to. Fried chicken, wonderful garden salads, warm, hearty soups, lemon meringue tart, beef stroganoff, for example, with Campbell's mushroom soup and noodles that you'd buy at the store, whether they were whatever kind of noodles they were. French onion soup dip, those kinds of things, which were kind of very ingrained in the American culture. The recipes in this book, I think, are written very well, and cooking is a process. No matter what recipe you're doing, some of them are very simple process. A grilled cheese sandwich, for example. I think we all can certainly relate to a grilled cheese sandwich and the process in making that. Something like the chicken soup with dumplings is a little more intense, a little more time-consuming a process as well. I don't think any of the techniques that are involved in the recipes, regardless of the complexity or the ease of them, are terribly difficult or have to be terribly precise. I think that certainly one of my recommendations and suggestions when anybody's picking up a cookbook for the first time is to choose the recipes that they feel most comfortable in doing, and that may be the simplest recipe. I think success encourages the person to continue to try. And when you become successful with one recipe and it becomes part of your repertoire, you can move on to another recipe. Most cookbooks can help people become a better chef. And with that said, there are components, there are techniques, there are ideas in every book that I think would inspire any cook. It's just a matter of being confident and having the courage to try. There are countless wonderful and favorite recipes of mine in this book. I think every recipe is probably a favorite, else I wouldn't have put it in there. Certainly think the clam chowder is just a wonderful recipe. Chicken dumpling soup, for example. Fried chicken, that's something that we talk about a lot, is the fried chicken recipe and how great that is. Our fried chicken recipe in ad hoc, I think there are several things that make it special. Number one, the product. We always talk about product, making sure that we get the best possible products that are available to us wherever you are. That's certainly very important. And then execution. We talk about that as the equation for good food. Product and execution. Our fried chicken is one that we brine the chicken. I think that really makes a significant difference, is brining the chicken before it's cooked, whether you're roasting it or whether you're sauteing it. In this case, frying chicken. So we brine our chicken ahead of time, and then buttermilk buttermilk fry it, which is really a great traditional Southern recipe. I think the light bulb moments are just little snippets of things that we do in the restaurants that will be beneficial in the way you're thinking about the organization, whether it's how to become familiar with salt measurements, for example. These kinds of things are very important, something that we in our kitchens have become ingrained in the way we move and the way we work because it's habitual. And repetition is certainly very important. I talk about repetition a lot because the more you do something, the better you become at it. So those light bulb moments can really help you understand in a very easy way some of the things that we do that will help you become more effective, more efficient in your cooking. The lifesavers are all about that. We call them lifesavers because you're able to use those condiments, those preparations in a number of different ways. Some of the mustards, for example, the artichoke mustard, you could use it as a base for a sauce, as a flavoring agent for a vinaigrette, as a spread on itself. So having some of those lifesaver items in your larder, in your pantry, in your refrigerator can really help you be maybe a little more spontaneous, sometimes a little more creative, but also have the ability to be a little more versatile in your cooking by having some of those items available. There are numerous things that the home cook could take from a professional kitchen. You start at the basis, and we talk about mise en place for having everything ready before you start a recipe, whatever that recipe may be. And I think that's one critical thing that we can take from a professional kitchen is we really work very hard in having our mise en place, everything in place before we start to cook. Because once you start to cook, you don't want to be interrupted with having to get something or chop something or process something else to actually finish a recipe. because timing, again, is critical, and efficiency is very important as well. So we want to make sure that everything is ready. The other thing I think we want to take from the professional kitchen is a sense of housekeeping, what we call cleanliness, sanitation. We're always very, very concerned about the wholesomeness of our products. We're taking great measures at making sure that we have an environment that's one that's very wholesome, very, very clean, very well organized, so that there are no opportunities for any foodborne illness. Three things. That seasoning certainly would be number one. I mean, to be able to season correctly is very, very important. As we all know, seasoning heightens the flavor of our food, and salt is the primary seasoning ingredient that we use to heighten flavor. And of course, if you taste the salt in your seasoning, there's two things that have occurred. One is that you want to be able to taste the salt or feel the salt, and certainly that may be the case. The other one is it's too salty. But we all know that a soup that doesn't have a seasoning agent to heighten the flavor, i.e. salt, it's a little flat. Get comfortable with touching food. People are apprehensive about touching food or wanting to touch it too much. We'll put something in a saute pan and we won't let it sear, or we won't let it start to cook correctly before we start moving it, or we're afraid to touch it. So I think being able to be comfortable with working with food and enjoying, and then of course organization and efficiency is really, really important, and that touches us in so many different ways. How we shop, how we store, how we work, how we cook, how we organize the flow of the meal. There are so many things involved in that efficiency and organization that I would like to try to convey to people and help them understand how they become better cooks by being more organized and more efficient.